think just to point out that Ronak did say CSK would win the IPL this season once again.
One of the very few
call.
people. One of the very few people who did. Thank you. That's it. I want to go now.
You made a lot of other stupid
comments. No, but you thought that
you got to get one right.
No, it was a genuine call.
Yeah, no, but
Wow, that MI and CSK are back in the playoffs. After the squads we saw and after the bowling limitations we thought they'd have and after the season that they did have last year is quite the story. So on ESPN Cricket for Runorder, Tom Moody and Sanjay Manjrekar, Dustin's a regular here. It's nice to see Varun Shetty.
Thank you.
He's made a comeback like MI and CSK. And now we discuss whether this whole thing of building a big squad or after the big auction, MI and CSK must have been really hurt with their core group running to other franchises, being bought by other franchises. So is this whole squad building slightly overrated and does it eventually come down to a winning culture? The El Clasico teams have managed to prove a lot of doubters wrong. Let me start with you, given you are a CSK fan.
Fan of good cricket.
Yes.
Because I had this theory until now that if you picked a good side and did a great job at the auction, you sort of put yourself in a very advantageous position to win the title. But halfway through this season, you realize Mumbai Indians just didn't have a team. Bumrah obviously wasn't there, Archer wasn't there, and their batting wasn't firing. It looked like a team that might continue to be average for a while in future IPLs as well. And suddenly, this turnaround. So then you wonder whether it is really the auction and the kind of team that you build. With CSK, it's a little easier. I think the mantra for their success is off-field tactics of just backing their players no matter what. And just calm, able, smart leadership is the reason why they've been so good. And not just this year, over the years. Yeah.
Tom?
I think both are examples of providing a high quality, high performance culture. And that is the separation between performance on the field and what happens off the field. Great leadership. MS Dhoni and Rohit Sharma, two very proven leaders. Even though they haven't had a huge impact, performance-wise, they've had their moments, but their importance with regards to lifting other people within the team above their normal standard is quite astonishing, particularly with the MS Dhoni. His bowling group, the young bowling group that he marshalled, they bowled well above their experience in IPL cricket and delivered for him, where in other franchises you'd see them cast away and another person get an opportunity, cast away and another person get an opportunity. That is the formula for success, is trusting and backing your people and being patient. And I think with Mumbai Indians, the other thing to highlight is that what's got them back into this tournament is high-class batting. And we've all, I think, underestimated the quality of some of their bowlers. Chawla coming back from virtually retirement, back into IPL cricket, brilliant performance as a mainstay spinner. Berendorf sort of under the radar, always took power play wickets, which is what you're wanting. So I think we've underestimated,
it's not as bad as
it's
we
not
imagined.
bad as, and their batting, they just seem to find these remarkable batters, and we all marvel at what Sky can do.
All right. Dustin, Varun, go.
Yeah, I mean, just to take off on Tom's point, the way that MS Dhoni gives his players confidence, there was a game, for example, where Pathirana went for more than 50 runs. But almost everything was going off the edge. It was one of those days he got unlucky. And as soon as the game was over, I think CSK lost that game, if I'm not mistaken. And Dhoni immediately said, no, Pathirana bowled well. He was just unlucky.
And scorecard doesn't reflect how
and
well
the next
bowled,
game, Pathirana comes back and I think he bowled his 4 overs for no less than 30 or something.
And he's had a great run since.
The things that these two teams did well was to remove the auction from the long-term, situation. They figured out how to circumvent that. And the way to do that was to set up a strong culture, like Tom mentioned. Anyone can come there and have a good chance at performing, right? We saw Tushar Deshpande in previous seasons, nowhere near as well as he's doing right now. So, Rahane, So, when we look back at this maybe in 10, 15 years when the IPL is an older tournament, and maybe the auction system is no longer existing at that point, what teams will study then is how these two teams figured out a way to circumvent the fact that
Yeah.
you won't have a core in the IPL. The IPL is not a sport where you build a core like you build in a football, right? You don't have the same team because of the auction cycle.
Do you think a player like Piyush Chawla would have had the same success at another franchise, or do you think that the way he's come back is also specific to Mumbai Indians, giving him kind of the right environment to succeed?
I think the latter. I think the environment, whether he is at Mumbai or Chennai, which is the topic, is far easier for a player like Chawla or Rahane or any young player that's gone into that franchise to thrive, because they feel like, one, their skill is backed and they're trusted and given the opportunity to fail. Everyone fails. It's a case of making sure that person still feels like they belong and they're trusted in what they're doing.
Will they be like this regardless of certain key figures in those camps? Let's say MS Dhoni retires tomorrow. Does everything change?
I think it will change dramatically on field for sure. He will still have a presence, because I'm sure he'll still be
involved
there in some sort of mentor role or coaching role. But there's no doubt, which we saw last year when Jadeja took over the leadership, that suddenly it didn't have the same feel about the team. So the impact of leadership is significant in the IPL. And we've seen that historically, even though the IPL hasn't been that long, but the very well-led teams are more often not in the top four.
The culture is set now. So you'll have a new captain, and on field you might see him making slightly different calls. But I don't see with a new captain CSK suddenly getting to this chopping and changing.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah, so that's not going to happen. So that culture is set in. With Mumbai Indians, I guess, like the West Indies in the 70s and Australia later, just that winning vibe in the dressing room. So anyone comes in knows that he's with a side that is superior to the others, and that is the confidence they'll take into the game, no matter who the captain is.
Tom, Varun, Dustin, Sanjay, this was ESPN Cricket for Runorder. Well done, CSK in Mumbai.